All right, we're gonna get started here for my construction toolbox talk for construction safety. I was assigned confined space safety, and we'll get started right now. So we'll start with, what is a confined space? A confined space is gonna be something that's large enough for someone to work inside of. It has limited means of entry and exit, so it is hard for someone to easily get in and out of the space, and it's not designated for worker occupancy, so it's not meant for someone to be in there all the time. This is just a limited time thing that the work needs to be done in there, but after that we want to be out. So there are three types of confined space. We have a non-permit, permit, and alternate entry. We'll start with the permit because it is the most dangerous. When going in that permit confined space, you need to have a specific procedure set out for when you go in there. Next, we have alternate entry. Alternate entry is just as hazardous as a permit required, except it is just in the atmosphere, and this can be negated with ventilation. If the contractor can prove that they can ventilate the space, it can be considered an alternate entry. Finally, we have a non-permit required. This is exactly what it says. It's non-permit. You don't need a permit to enter. But don't let that fool you, because all confined spaces are dangerous, and we don't want people going in there thinking that it's not a big deal when it always is. So what are these potential hazards that I'm talking about? A couple of the big ones would be oxygen deficiency and toxic gases. With both of those, if someone enters and they have oxygen deficiency or they're breathing in some of those toxic gases, they can start getting dizzy, pass out, or even do damage to their lungs and stuff if they're breathing in some of those gases. Another one would be something that we don't see as much in the construction industry, but for sure in the farming industry, is engulfment. So basically, in the farming industry, someone enters a grain bin or something, they're gonna get sucked in by that grain, and they can basically drown in the material in that grain bin. A couple examples I can think of off the top of my head for something like engulfment in the construction industry would be entering a confined space with a lot of sand or water or something, and we kind of get sucked in by that sand and water, and you're not able to get out. The last one that I can really think of as a big one is the fires and explosions. So this can happen when there's not a lot of good ventilation going in and out of that confined space, and an explosion happens because all those toxic gases and things of that sort are building up in there, and they can cause an explosion or fires. So how do we kind of work around these hazards? We use safe work practices. So something that we can do is require a permit, like I was talking about. This way we can monitor who's going in and out of those confined spaces. We can monitor the atmosphere when they go in and out, and we can implement a rescue plan every time they're going in. Another one, like I just talked about, atmospheric testing. This summer during my internship, I actually had to deal with a confined space. So basically I got a little box about yay big with a little wire connected to it, and I had to text the oxygen levels in that confined space. It sat in there for a couple minutes. I went back to the trailer, made sure the oxygen level was going to be good for me to go in. It was approved, and I went. Another thing is ventilation and PPE. Like I was just talking about with the alternate entry, ventilation is a big thing. So you want fans and stuff blowing through there, and PPE, as always in the construction industry, hard hat, safety glasses, gloves, that's always going to be a big thing. Another thing is a mask or something like that, and a harness for if someone's going in that confined space alone. We don't want them to pass out or something and be alone in there. If we have them on a harness, we can just pull them out. Another thing is communication. Having that person in the confined space with a radio or something, just so we know that they're okay and they're not passed out or something in there. And then a emergency and rescue plan. I know when I went in that confined space, if it was at a certain oxygen level and I needed to get in there still, we had to have the fire department on call at all times to make sure if something did happen while I was in there, the fire department would be on their way because we already had them on the phone. that's about all I can cover off the top of my head for safe work practices. I guess closing comments. If you don't feel safe going into confined space, don't do it. Find a better way, find a rescue plan, and make sure that it's going to be 100% safe when you go in that confined space. Never underestimate the risks of going into the confined space like that. Those toxic gases, oxygen deficiency, stuff like that. That's a big deal. That can cause you lifelong damage, and we don't want that. Let's just make sure that everyone's going home safe at the end of the day. Make sure we're taking the proper procedures to enter these confined space. Thank you.